before we get into anything tonight, we got to address, the big news of the day. The Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne, has passed away. This is only coming
hours.
What do you
since
mean?
he passed away.
Oh yeah, hours. Yeah,
since the news came out.
Since the news came out, yeah, he passed away today. But it's only coming, a little less than 3 weeks after the Back to the Beginning show that happened in Birmingham. Birmingham. With the Black Sabbath reunion and all of these bands kind of paying tribute to Ozzy and Sabbath. So amazing way to go, I would think.
Truly.
Probably the best possible way you could go.
Gotta be honest, I think I'm processing the news much better because of that.
I honestly think I am too.
True.
Like, I thought for a long time, I was like, it's going to suck when Ozzy goes. Like, that day is going to be hard to hear that news. But he was in the news, and you saw him in that state, and you're just like, man, I'm glad he got to do this for one last. Like, everyone knew that was going to be the last time.
Yeah.
And how much he appreciated it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell that there was no place that he wanted to be more than in that chair in front of all those people. It was kind of like having a wake for someone who's still alive.
Completely.
You know what I mean?
Completely. Yeah, I mean, it was like, for, like I said this when we talked about it, like, a couple weeks ago, but it was, like, easily, despite, like, the music being couched in, like, all of this dark shit and whatever, it was easily the most positive, like, gathering and wholesome thing ever.
Yeah. It's just so, like, what a fitting send-off. And, I think it definitely is making the news kind of go down easier. But yeah, I mean, we either musicians currently or former musicians. What's everyone's like? I mean, my experience with Ozzy was like, I feel like Black Sabbath Paranoid may have been the first album I ever heard in my whole life. It was either that or Missy Elliott or something like stupid, like
nice.
something like.
Don't shit on Missy.
I mean, I'm not. It's something that you hear in like
I know
fourth grade, and then you like start getting into actual music. But like, I remember, Paranoid being like really the first like front to back album I ever like gave a shit about. And then that kind of like brought me into listening to his solo music and kind of understanding like what Crazy Train was, because like Crazy Train, when you're a kid, it's just like this thing that's
The football song.
yeah, it's like off in the distance. You're like, what is that? Like and then you find out it's an actual song that someone wrote, and you're like, that's incredible. But yeah, I mean, he's just it's amazing how many things we have because of Ozzy. Like how many things that exist today because of Black Sabbath and because of his solo music. Like, it's, we have stoner metal, we have like doom, we have punk rock to some degree, sludge, so many bands that have to credit Sabbath and Ozzy for what they do.
I mean, it's only been a few hours in like my social media feeds, like everybody from like when I'm talking about like specific band guys from like the Pittsburgh scene or like nationally, everybody from like every genre or walk of life is like, dude, R.I.P. I love him.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah. Like you could be like a country band and you'd be like, dude, fucking Ozzy was the best.
Yeah. He was the best.
Yeah.
Well, not only the initial contribution of Black Sabbath is unbelievable.
Yes.
Like that is like a big bang level event for hard rock and heavy metal. Yeah. That is, like you said, there is like a piece of that thumbprint in just about every sort of hard rock going forward. To me, they like are the high watermark for rock and roll music, in my opinion, of just like, I think, Lennon, McCartney are better like songwriters. Mm-hmm. And there's other rock bands that I think do things better than Black Sabbath do, but the idea of just four musicians getting into a room and it creating a unique sound, I don't know if you get any better than Black Sabbath.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the same thing that I always thought about Zeppelin too, but Black Sabbath to even more of a degree, where their music still sounds current. Like you can listen to it in 2025, and it was like, well, that's the sickest riff, you know, like you can hear like the, you know, every part of War Pigs and be like, that's so fucking cool. Like we just reviewed Paranoid on the show, and I think it's the first and only 10 we've ever given.
It's right there, dude.
Yeah, JJ's got it representing. Yeah.
And like another awesome thing about Ozzy too is like he remained an ambassador of hard rock and heavy metal forever.
Yeah.
You know, like you had the Ozfest, he was putting on new bands. You never heard him to talk about like this new type of metal and be like, that sucks, I don't like it, or I think it's dumb. Like, I mean, he even, not quite hair metal in the 80s, but like I definitely think part of what he was doing on those like those early 80s records infected the next wave of hard rock and heavy 100%. Metal that would happen in the 80s. And then like new metal bands and stuff were big in the late 90s and stuff like that. And instead of him being like, that shit's not real metal, he's like, no, I'm going to have those bands on tour with me.
And I'm going to do that to some degree as well.
Yeah.
Like fit in with it, you know, in his own way, you know, like there was hair metal and then there was like, you know, No More Tears, which is like, you know, so much, it has like the edge that those bands didn't have, but he still had giant hair and dressed insane.
And so many times, you know, like when guys feel like the musical moment is leaving them, their impulse is to be like, well, this is new trash and it sucks, and then it continues to move away from them.
Yeah.
But the fact that like Ozzy kept embracing, you know, whatever was coming up, the musicians that were coming up, he was equally embraced by new generation and new generation and new generation. And I think he like commands a different kind of respect than really any other rock star.
I think so too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and like I haven't talked to anybody today, or even like when I talk about Ozzy, like from, like I said, from many walks of life that are like, I don't fuck with that guy. Like, because not only the musical contribution, but then he like kind of re-entered and even surpassed relevancy into a new world with the reality show where like, you know, like the, no offense, like the basic bitches at my work or whatever, like, oh my God, Ozzy. And I'm like, you know about fucking, you care, you know, you're as sad as me, you know, whatever like that. And I think that's really important because it's like, he became, like, you know, there's those viral clips of him fucking singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game at the Cubs game, or, like, being interviewed at NASCAR races or whatever, being kind of this goofy, like, older guy. But at the same time, he was, like, you know, still this lovable, you know, formerly evil character, you know, where I don't think he ever was evil. He was just crazy, you know.
Probably on a lot of drugs and really and that's another thing too, of like 76 and you get like the send-off of all send-offs from, you know, all these eras of hard rock and heavy metal. You know, there's times in the 70s where you're like, there's no way this is how this is going to end.
Oh,
you know what
100%.
I mean? Like to like turn your life around the way that he was able to after living like that for so long is like insane.
I'm sure if you told Ozzy, you know, back in the day when Sabbath was starting, that like you're gonna have your final show with this band in 2025. He would be like, absolutely
no, you think there'd be like robots flying around shooting lasers everywhere.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like, no, that's when
never going to survive.
Iron Man canonically comes in 2012. It's not going to happen.
The actual Iron Man will be birthed by then.
I love him though. He was such a lovable guy. Like, he's always got that crazy smile on his face, and it was like a family man, like loves his kids and like, you know, all of that stuff. I mean, what's not to love about Ozzy?
Yeah. I mean, he was just this like goofball, you know, and like the early stories of how they found him to be the singer of Black Sabbath are hilarious. Like, he was kind of like the town
loon,
like crazy guy.
Yeah, he was a thief.
He he would like walk his shoe like a dog.
Yeah, he wrote in like a classifieds or something, because his name isn't actually Ozzy, but it was like Ozzy's is Ozzy Zig needs gig. Yeah, and that's how they found him. And he's also an amazing singer. Like he's got like maybe the most recognizable voice in like music in some ways. And TBH, he still sounded pretty good back at the beginning of the show a few weeks ago.
Yeah. For the circumstances, I would say absolutely.
Yeah, he was spraying his throat in between every song, and whatever.
The fact he's dead now. Yeah, that was like 2.5 weeks ago. Yeah. Like, pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And another thing too, like what you were saying before about how he kind of like would keep up with the times and keep up with the genres that were happening in that time period, like. It's so cool that like the position of Ozzy's guitar player became like one of the biggest things that you could be, and you could have your career completely built off of that, which is so like to be in Ozzy's band as his guitarist, that like level never really like stopped being the best of the best you can get as a guitar player.
100%. You know, at least twice a year you're going to be on the cover of Guitar Player. They're like, we don't have anybody for November. Yeah. What's Zach Wilde doing?
Zach Wilde doing? We could get Zach in here. He might have a new guitar line.
A different color, the bullseye. He's just going to hold it like this.
He might have an even spikier guitar to show. But yeah, I mean, like Randy Rhoads, like people know who Jake E. Lee is, like because of Ozzy, and like I can't name anything else that Jake E. Lee did,
and that like lineage is like Iommi on.
Exactly.
It's like basically like you're the new Iommi, and it's like. Yeah, that's like incredible lineage to be a part of it. And I think Randy Rhoads even took it to another level. Because, I mean, I think for me, Tony Iommi is one of my absolute all-time favorite guitarists just because he's just a riff master.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that, like, Randy Rhoads there's like a Y in the road. Like, it's like him and Van Halen that changed the way that guitar would be played for like the next decade.
Yeah, 100%.
Talk about a tragic story too, Randy Rhoads, with like, you know, the whole like test driving plane situation and like him being afraid of flying, and then him dying that way is fucking crazy. I know him and Ozzy were like mega tight, you know, and that was really devastating.
Ozzy has said some like pretty heartfelt things about Randy Rhoads after he died in a couple of interviews.
That video, did you ever see that video of him and Jack listening to the isolated solo for Crazy Train for the first time in years?
I think so, yeah.
Like, that was like awesome.
Yeah.
Like, where he's really just still like incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just like always appreciated who was in the band. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there, you know, things have been said about Sharon and, you know, about the festival lineups and things, but I feel like they always kind of treated whoever was in the band like, you know, they were actually a part of the band and not just touring members.
Yeah.
I don't know who like played bass in Ozzy's band for the whole time, but
not sure either.
Like drummers and guitar players like had like pretty long, extensive careers with Ozzy, which is pretty cool.
You mentioned something about putting bands on, kind of. This is like a small example, but one that I like remember pretty vividly too. Is I remember catching this video. So this band I used to like called Rival Sons. They performed it Back to the Beginning. And then they toured with Sabbath for a while, I think during their The End tour or whatever. There's this video where before they ever toured together, one of the bandmates of Rival Sons was like backstage or somewhere within earshot of Ozzy and Sharon, and Rival Sons had just performed. And he gets their attention. And Ozzy, like, they're walking, and then Ozzy, like, stops what he's doing. They're probably, like, you know, trying to avoid paparazzi or something. And he stops what he's doing. He walks over to him, and he's like, hey, man, I'm so-and-so from Rival Sons. He's like, fucking awesome. And then, like, apparently that video is, like, what started, like, you know, this is... touring with Black Sabbath was in a lot of ways Rival Sons' like big break, and now they're really popular and everything. And that was like the moment where they started discussing like, you guys should come on tour with us. We're doing the End tour, whatever. And it's so like beautiful to see a guy who's like, his star couldn't be bigger as Ozzy Osbourne talking to this small guy from a band being like, you fucking rule, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he was clearly a music fan.
Yes.
You know, like just like rock star probably second, and probably like fan of just doing the thing first, and like like fan of whatever was going on. Like I feel like there was interviews within the past decade where he's like naming pretty current acts, being like, you should check these guys out. Wasn't Slipknot like one of like the first bands that was on Ozfest.
I know that they were.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were like one of the first because Ozfest went through like a good bit of the '90s. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I just always remember like Slipknot being on Ozfest.
But yeah, I definitely have seen him talk about like hard rock and heavy metal that was like still happening. Not like I like that new Testament record or whatever. It's like he was like.
Like pretty hip.
He just like he clearly loved it.
Yes.
He didn't just love performing. He didn't just love being famous. He like still loved music and hard rock.
Yeah. And he made some, for like later era solo records, like there was some cool songs that he wrote.
That one a couple years ago wasn't terrible.
The one with Elton John on it? You remember that song? Yeah. That song's pretty dope.
He was just on a Post Malone song.
Like,
a couple years ago.
Well, he said too, like after Back to the Beginning, he's like, I want to keep recording and stuff. You know, and obviously there hadn't been enough time between now and then to like, record anything, but you can only speculate what he would have done if he, because a lot of the health ailments that he dealt with for the past like 5 or 6 years stemmed from like a fall that he had. It didn't cause Parkinson's or whatever, but you can only wonder like how much he would have done, because like he definitely had this motor that just couldn't stop. And the only thing that stopped it was Mother Nature. You know?
Patient Number 9 was the album.
Yes,
and
I knew about
like
Patient.
A bunch of like guest stars.
Yeah. I knew about Patient Number 9, but there was one like it came out honestly like when I like maybe first started playing guitar when I was a kid, and it was I don't remember the album name, but I remember the song was called "I Don't Want to Stop," and it had like it was Zakk Wylde. It was maybe one of the last albums that Zakk Wylde was his guitar player for, but it was sick. Like it was an actual fucking good song that like. Was popular. Like it was on the radio. It wasn't like, oh, this, Ozzy's washed up, and trying to make something of himself. But
it was on 2007's Black Rain.
There you go.
I remember Black Rain.
Nice.
Yeah. I think I had that CD, and I was like, this is cool.
It's a sick album cover.
Yeah,
just
he's
him
like with a flag,
standing in black rain.
Okay, that's awesome.
I thought it was a different one.
That's the expanded edition.
You might be thinking of Scream from 2010.
I'm thinking of Scream. Yeah, I thought that was the Black Rain cover. What was I gonna say?
Ozzy rules.
Yeah, Ozzy does rule. I think. Oh yeah, this is what I was gonna say. I think out of like any old rock star that kind of set the standard for their genre, like I feel like Ozzy's has probably the biggest impact for heavy metal. Like thinking about like who else is still around playing today, like that might have this kind of like earthquake when they pass away. Like I feel like Ozzy's gonna have the biggest one. Like Angus Young, Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, like those guys. Like it's gonna be sad, but Ozzy like kind of redefined a genre.
You talking as purely hard rock guys?
Yeah,
I
guess
Paul McCartney's gonna
have
my life up.
Yeah, that one's gonna be big.
Paul McCartney's gonna be big, but I still think that like on just like a band level, like the number of people who like the number of bands from disparate sounds, genres that are all going to be like it all goes back to Sabbath.
Yeah.
I think that's like number one.
Yeah, 100%.
There will never be another, man. Ozzy's
There'll never be another
irreplaceable.
Ozzy. We've been dreading this day, but it came at probably the best time after he got his send off. So, R.I.P. Ozzy. If you haven't listened to Black Rain, go listen to that.
What
song.
are you doing?
You gotta go listen to Black Rain.
Yeah, above all else.
Yeah. But yeah, R.I.P. Ozzy. We love Ozzy, and I'm probably gonna listen to Black Sabbath and Ozzy records for the next 2 weeks.
Dude, I'm slamming Snowblind on the way home.
Yeah, dude, that's like
100%.
That was
snorting a line of ants.
Yeah.
Off your steering wheel.
There's one's for you, dude.
It's always a silver lining when like an old like rock star you love dies. It's just like, nah, I'm just gonna listen to their music for like the next month.
I'm gonna cry to change
and
in
actually
my car.
Appreciate it
it. Appreciate it more. Yeah.
R.I.P. Ozzy.
R.I.P. Ozzy.